Well, welcome to Class 1 of Online Drawing 2. Today we're going to be working with dark and light objects on a neutral ground, which means it's sort of a middle ground of values. So you're going to see how dark the darks get and how light the lights get against whatever you've put on the table or whatever table you've used. And it will help you discern different blocks of value. We're going to be using ebony pencil and 2B pencil, pink pearl erasers and smudge sticks, and white sketch paper. I wanted to tell you about how I planned my piece, which includes a very large round object in the middle, a small white object, another round object, and then a curvy object in the foreground. I decided that since my large object in the background was going to be the focal point, or one of the focal points, I wanted to make sure that there was enough room for it. And so I started by drawing the circle that represents my teapot. The easiest way to draw a circle is to turn the paper. When I get to the top, I have to be sure that the curvature here matches the curvature that I see. It's also easier to draw that curvature from the side. There'll be a diagonal for the spout. And the handle I draw by looking at the negative space here. Not the shape of the handle, but the empty air. And finally, the spout. I have a cross line to show me exactly where the top of the white pitcher begins. That way I know that there's 3/4 above the line and 2/3 above the line and 1/3 below the line. Now this is a metal bowl which cuts off and just touches my cream pitcher. And like all bowls, this will be a symmetrical shape. I may see more of the top and bottom before I'm through. And last but not least, I have a funnel. These lines are parallel with the side of the paper, so you can check. And this curvature is evenly distanced here to here with the bottom of the paper. And there's my line drawing. I will show at this point where my horizon line is. It's about here. There will also be cast shadows, so I'll put some of those in and mark where I see the cast shadows in the light objects. All right, so now I'm going to work on some of the darkest darks, just sketching them in to remind myself later. We notice them more on the light things. I'm leaving a rim here on my white picture because it catches the light. There's always a shadow under a handle right there. And it's also on the side here. And a little cast shadow down below. For something like this, if you have a pencil eraser, I don't know if I do, that can sometimes be helpful. I have one matte surface and the others are shiny surfaces, so I'm more likely to get bright lights on the foreground 3 elements. So you want to look and see which are your shiny objects, then you'll get the bright whites and the dark darks. The matte ones though, they may only have middle value. I think I'm going to get some shine on my handle. And I've marked in my big shadows, but now I'm going to mark in my highlights. I also squint at my drawing and at my subject matter in order to see where the darks are relative to the whites. I'm going to start working with my smudge stick. I have 2 sizes, one is small and one is large, depending upon the area that I'm working in. If this gets too dark, you can also pull out your blue eraser or kneaded eraser and you can blot. And it will take up just a small amount of the graphite. You can also smudge with your finger. There's a little bit of oil on your finger, but you can target it a little bit better with the blending stump or smudge stick. I'm going to try my larger smudge stick here. And I note that this is the light side and this is the middle value side. There are some highlights in here. which I will work around. Now my table is going to be middle ground, which means that I'm lightly putting gray down. I do it in two directions, so when I start to smudge, more of the paper is covered. The background will push the highlights forward on the rim of my bowl. If you have any highlights, you may need to emphasize them at the end. I add ebony pencil for my shadows. And last but not least, the shiny bowl, which requires me to squint and push down pretty hard to get the brightest and the darkest bits in the shiny bowl. I pull out some last highlights and try to blend as many of the lines that are still visible as I can. And if there are some really dark areas, you go back in at the very end. Okay, so this is basically all the volumes. I'm not going to do the detail on the handle, but it gives you an idea about the wide range of values you can get with just two pencils, a smudge stick, and a little pressure. So now it's time for you to get started. Have fun.